dedicated archive of that sort. So I thought, well, let's start a private collection. And where did I go? Not only overseas, but of course to the Regent book sale, where all those old hymn books were being jettisoned for new ones, and dusty cupboards were being emptied in decaying church buildings. Well, in 1984, I went off to the then city librarian, Michael Woolliscroft, with a proposal to form a hymnody collection here in Dunedin, and I got a marvellously warm and enthusiastic reception. Of course, such an archive fitted in very well with the Reed Bible collection here. There he is, that lovely old man who used to give me tracts as he walked around past my house, A.H. Reed, and his wonderful gathering of Bibles. But he also, magpie-like, gathered almost anything else. And you'll see in some of these display cabinets letters by John Wesley, by Charles Wesley, by Spurgeon and others. He just gathered up whatever he could get, and he left them all to the library. So a collection of hymns seemed to fit in pretty well with a collection of Bibles. And of course, since a lot of the material was going to be New Zealand material, nobody else was gathering that for sure, it fits in pretty well with the Big Nab collection as well. Well, and soon we were getting major donations from private collectors or composers and hymn societies and hymn book trusts, all of them well supported by regular library amounts being spent on acquisitions. We were on the way. And I found that what we have gathered together from literally every corner of the globe, as you said, Jean, and it is that, an enormous research archive, wonderful backing. As I began two major undertakings, first of all a history of hymn writing in New Zealand and Australia, not Australasia, and an account of the major hymn writers themselves for a world dictionary of hymnody, which is being prepared at this very moment under the general editorship of, yes, you guessed it, another Professor of English, Dick Watson of Durham University. And that has enriched itself with the material gathered here. The other commission, is a very new one, is to write a companion to all the hymns and sheet music published so far by the New Zealand Hymn Book Trust. I think there's 5 volumes of that, and we're hoping to bring the 5th volume out in May of this year. Well, that's how I got to be gathering stuff and working with Anthony and other people before him as we fed the collection and tried to develop it. But I want to say something, if I'm not taking too long, about the value and significance of a collection like this. Because first of all, it's a wonderful working reference tool for private individuals or leaders of worship or scholars or historians. From the person who just wants to know the full text of the hymn, whose first line they vaguely remember. What a challenge for a librarian. A marvellous responding to that one. To the historian tracing the songs that fired the temperance movement in New Zealand, because it was fired by its own songs. That's the first thing. Just a good working collection for the people who want to know. But secondly, I think an archive like this provides an invaluable record of cultural history, what the anthropologists are starting to call social texts. Hymn books express a denominational identity. They define the faiths and the attitudes held by one of many of different denominations. And they also reveal the way theological thinking in the community as well as in the Christian church has changed and developed through the years. And they demonstrate, most of them, the degree of engagement with the political or the social or whatever issues of the time. Andrew's listening to this carefully because he's into theology and public issues, so I'm saying, get into the hymn books, man, and enjoy yourself. And I think, very importantly, they're an index of New Zealanders' growing sense of identity and independence, as well as the degree to which other cultures have impinged upon our world. It's significant, I think, that we now have a succession of books which are written essentially by New Zealanders, and we have New Zealand people singing their songs. Well, thirdly, I think hymn books belong with part of our nation's print history. They are simply that. It's musical history, it's social history, it's religious history, it's the history of our place within the world. And there's some of the records I think we've got to keep if we're going to remember and understand anything of those histories. Last Saturday, on the battleground of Gallipoli, for only the second time in our New Zealand history, an Anzac Day hymn written by two New Zealanders, sung in arrangements for brass band by a Salvation Army New Zealand musician, rang out at that spot. But a verse in the hymn referring to conscientious objectors was omitted as improper for the location. Now, I think we need to know all of that to be proud of the fact that at last New Zealanders are singing their own hymns and songs, and they're singing about their own national history, and to be, I guess, less than proud that the hurts and the divisions that belong to that history and are part of that history are still too painful to be remembered in a service of commemoration. Now, I've got a copy of the hymn. It's been published separately, and I want to hand that over to Anthony today, a hymn for Anzac Day with a painting by, I think actually in Australia, but I shan't mention that very loudly, to extend our archive by one other sign of the times. And in conclusion, shortly before you join the singing, can I once again congratulate Anthony and his noble band of helpers who've prepared and curated this exhibition with great thoroughness and skill. May it have many attenders, and may we all have something to learn from it. So thank you for listening.